sewers, our roads, our bridges, everyone knows that they're not in great shape. We need to, first of all, we need to have a better set of factors that are openly declared for the public on how we decide what roads need repair, what roads need to be replaced, where we've got bad sewer systems underneath. Because right now, even on city council, I never knew what roads were coming up for repair. So I believe we need to have a much more open and transparent process for identifying and scheduling repair. So we don't know at this point whether we're doing, we don't know whether we are setting the appropriate priorities using consistent factors. Again, it's done behind closed doors. I only got one list when I was on council for 4 years on what roads were going to be repaired. I think the public has a right to know, and we also need to make sure we're working with the residents and small businesses that are affected by that. So that's a factor that needs to be entered into the priority analysis system, and we need to work better with them. We have a lot of work to do on fixing our infrastructure. There's just no question on that.
So this is a good question, and it's come up a few times. So the city pays for street infrastructures primarily through general obligation bonds. There's some road use tax fund, there's some federal and state funds that get sprinkled in there, but the biggest chunk of capital improvements come through the sale of general obligation bonds. So I think the first point to make is the city has been, over the last 20 plus years, extremely fiscally responsible with that side of the budget, the capital improvement budget. So right now the city has outstanding, in terms of general obligation bonds, $204 million. The state legal amount, the maximum amount we could have bonded is $493 million. So we're at about 42% of our actual capacity. We could bond another 68% if that math is right. I'm certainly not suggesting we do that at all. And then also a lot of our fund or accounts, like the operations fund has a $20 million fund balance, trust and agency has about $8 million, hotel motel has about 4.5 million, public safety 4.2. The local option sales tax account has about 24 million. Debt service has 40 million. This is all reserve funds, right? So the capital budget, capital project fund has 23 million, and then road use tax fund has 7.5 million. All of that is to say, right now the city's been extremely responsible and fiscally, I would say, conservative and responsible with its capital improvement budget. So I think the council could have a political and philosophical conversation around what increasing from 42% our debt capacity would get us in terms of additional street and sewer projects. I'm of the belief that unless you really were to raise it significantly, and I don't think that's a good idea, I think from a bond rating agency perspective that would probably not look good. And oh, by the way, I should have mentioned that our bond rating, S&P has us at AA, Moody's has us at AA2 with a positive outlook. Those are about the highest bond ratings you can get, which means the money that you borrow on those bonds in terms of interest is about as low as you can get. So more of your money is going to projects and less of it's going to interest. So that was a lot of information, and so all of that is to say, I think we should probably stay where we are. We're generally around, I think, 30 million-ish a year in our capital improvement budget. For every million you add to that, we had this discussion when I was on city council. Mike Clark was the public works director at the time, and we asked if we added $1 million, and so $1 million or $2 million or $5 million, how much more road would that get us in terms of finished project? And I think it was maybe a lane mile per million. It wasn't significant enough that it would really move the needle or that the citizens would notice it. So I think the question is, what's the responsible thing to do? And I think as mayor, in my opinion, the responsible thing to do is to keep our bond rating healthy with the financing organizations, Moody's and S&P, and probably stay in about that 40 to 45% range of debt capacity. I think that's a healthy place to be. It will get projects done. It's a grind when it comes to streets and sewers. It's a marathon, not a sprint. We have to keep making the investment over and over again every year. And eventually, I think people will start to notice improved roads. But, you know, the last thing I'd say on this is, you know, Davenport's well over 150-year-old city, and I think one of the oldest cities, if not the oldest city in Iowa. So we do have challenges when it comes to our infrastructure, but I think we've been on a good course for the better part of 10 to 15 years, and I think we need to stay that course.